Hey there, welcome back to Dishes and Wishes. Today's video is going to be a large haul that will cover a couple of weeks of my out and abouting it here in southern Maine. Also, this video will show different groups that fall under the Dishes and Wishes umbrella, and in future I will do haul videos. When I do a haul video, that will feature perhaps one or a couple of items from these sort of subcategories. You'll realize what I'm talking about here. So anyway, it's a beautiful sunny morning here, Thursday in Maine. The trees are budding. There's pollen everywhere. It's all over the cars and everything. But we're warm and safe and cozy, and we are about to enjoy some wonderful items from yesteryear. I'm going to start with the patent glass, American patent glass. It's called EAPG, but I call early 1860, 1870, and items manufactured in 1900 are not early in any way, unless it's 7:30 in the morning. But anyway, let's focus back on the glass. So, what I have to show you here today, the first piece is what? Is this. Oh yeah. Oh, for goodness sake. It is initially introduced in 1888 by Columbia Glass of Findlay, Ohio. They became part of the United States Corporation in 1891, and the patent was renumbered. You may know it as broken columns or bamboo, but US Glass just called it 15021. And here is an 8.5-inch diameter bowl, round. It stands 3 inches high. You can see why it would be called broken column or even bamboo. The rim has been tapped out to form like a star shape. There is also a star in the well. This is an extensive table service. There's a whole dinnerware set of that out there. Columbia Glass became Plant F for the U.S. Glass Corporation. That was just really a business corporation. They were not glass people, they were money people. And, they bought ailing businesses at a time of the cyclical trade issues that occur every now and again in cycles. And they came in and they bought a lot of, well, there were just too many of them all doing the same thing, cutting one another's throats. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked with the good stuff. So that 8.5-inch bowl there, bamboo broken columns, 15021. What else have we got? Oh yes, I've got a few pieces of this pattern to show you. It is introduced in 1894 by McKee Glass. By 1894, the brothers were no longer involved. In fact, they weren't brothers, they were the sisters' brothers. I don't want to say anything negative, but anyway, this is Jubilee, one of the patents produced by McKee. This patent is called Jubilee. Some people also may know it as Isis, the Egyptian god there. You may be able to see a bird-like figure in the pattern there. You may not. There it is. There's stars in the middle. This is the butter bottom. It measures, oh, I don't have it. For goodness sake, I'll be right back, kids. Okay, right, I've got my do unto others ruler here. This butter bottom is 6 3/8 in diameter. It's a little tiny bit rough around the mold edge, but that's just the way it used to go with some of the companies during different periods. So that's the butter bottom. And I also have the water gobbler in the same pattern to show you. There is the bird-like figure. Can you see it? And there's the star. There's a button in the stem, and you can clearly see the 3-part mold in the foot there. There it is. And that's the table water. And I also have in the eBay store, Dishes and Wishes, I actually already have this Jubilee plate from the same pattern. This, as I said, is already in the store if you wish to purchase it. It is a 10-inch dinner plate. Plates are in short supply in these older patterns, just as a general rule. Okay, so that was 1894, Jubilee or Isis. And next I'd like to share with you something that was manufactured a little closer to where we are right now. I am, of course, speaking about the Portland Glass Company from Portland, Maine. And I found 2 little shell-shaped, I'm going to put one down so that we can just focus and not boggle our eyes on both of them. 2 shell-shaped, with the little handle there, sauce dishes or relish dishes. You can see on the back there the stippled pattern with the little dots on there. This pattern is called overshot. There, and you can see the scalloped shell, and you can see the scroll there clearly in the handle. There it is. These little guys are probably from the 1870s. You might even call them early American pattern glass. Here they are. They're 6 inches long, and they're 4 and 5/8 inch wide. I found a pair of them. This too is an extensive dinnerware service that can be assembled with a little care and attention and a lot of fun. And there it is. And the last thing that I should like to share with you that from this haul is also from Columbia Glass, right before it became part of the US Glass Corporation, and it's a butter top, excuse me, it's a butter top. There's the design and there's the finial there. Very nice. This pattern is called Heavy Gothic, and when it was produced through the Glass Corporation a year after it became on the market, it became known as number 15014, Heavy Gothic. Another set that you can collect. Okay. Well, that is the end of what I found the pattern glass. Next, I'm going to share with you what I found English bone china. And I will be doing shows on just English bone china, as I will be doing shows on other sort of subsections. English bone china is not glass. It is used on the table, and you can mix and match them all beautifully. I think that's probably why I'm attracted to them. But I found a bunch of nice pieces, and I want to share them with you. The first piece is also sort of a subsection from the British, because it's a cup and a saucer. And cups and saucers there are cups and saucer collectors out there, so they're sort of a subset of the English bone china table service. So here we have, from the 1950s, it's from Windsor. It's an 8-ounce footed, scalloped teacup with pink roses inside the cup, a burgundy band, and then a band of pink rosebuds in a dark black and grey band, like a briar. Gold trim, beautiful gold trim on the handle there. And here's the stamp on the bottom. This is the saucer. I'll show you right up there, and then you can see the band of rosebuds. And then on the back there is the number. So the news is that Windsor, as seen here, here, that first one was for the dyslexic. Here, Windsor was not a manufacturer. They were a cooperative wholesale society in Longton, Staffordshire. And they came into business in about 1946, and they were around until the late 1960s. So I don't know who made this cup and saucer. It's stamped Windsor, obviously. It's high quality, and you can hear the ring. So there it is, and that is, so next time you see Windsor, remember, they don't manufacture. That is the product of some other quality, fine bone china company. We could work it out, because I'm sure that the shape of that cup and saucer, I don't know about the design, that may have been an exclusive. These companies made, one-off contracts about one-off patterns. So I don't know, but we could work out who was making these for Windsor, and maybe that will become apparent in the near future. But in the meantime, I'm just going to trundle on. So after showing you that, the next thing I'd like to show you, I was thrilled to pick up this piece of 1930s Royal Stafford. There's the pattern there. You can see that. This pattern is called Old English Oak. It's a raised relief pattern. There's the spout. And there's the other side, and there it is. It is a complete table service, not one for beginners. I suggest you collect about 20 or 30 hard to find patterns, and then whenever you go out, you find one or two pieces of one or two of your patterns, and you're happy and you love them, and then you put them in a box and forget about them. But come the time for a fancy tea party, you're all sitting pretty they're just all sitting there waiting to be used. So, Old English Oak, Royal Stafford, fine bone china, England. This also has a registration number. Are you familiar with registration numbers? English products, pottery, China products tend to have them, and you can actually look up that number or tap that number into Google, write registration number, and you can find out all about this pattern and any other English china that you find with a number on the bottom. Also, if you collect china and you come across this book here by the Goodwill's New Dictionary of Marks. I've had this book since Adam was a kid. Pottery and Porcelain, 1850 to the present. That present was about 30 years ago, but you get the idea. And it is just full, chock-a-block. There are thousands and thousands of marks on pottery, pottery and porcelain, and pottery and porcelain. Yeah, they have a number of books. They used to write, the Goodwills used to write antique books, Ralph and Terry, and they were also on PBN before it had a stroke, I think. Anyway, that's enough, Philip. Put the book down, okay. So, that's the Old English oak pitcher. The next item is this, not you, this beautiful little hand-colored fine bone china footed creamer with gold trim. Now I'm going to raise a point here. At the base of the color is transfer. You can see there's a transfer there. And then, like you had a coloring book when you were a child, you dab, dab, dab and tried to stay within the lines. Et voila. So, distinguish between painted and colored. When something is painted, there's no transfer there to guide the lines. The item is painted. This is colored and it's beautiful. I'm not knocking this. I absolutely love it with its little handle there. There's the mark on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, if it comes into focus. But anyway, there it is. It says Salisbury fine bone china made in England. Right, and from the 50s. I don't know the pattern, but you know, it always has, there's lots of pink wild roses, little blue forget-me-nots, because when you travelled years ago, you were never going to see these people again, and so little flowers helped you remember. They used to prompt you. Anyway, that's the end of that little Salisbury thing there. It's as cute as a button, and I'd like to find the creamer to match. Okay, we're done with that sheet of text. What's next? 1930s Royal Cauldron, small-footed creamer. The pattern is called Victoria, and look at it. Look at the handle there. The handle has been daubed with each of the three colors. It's a brown transfer here. It features scrolls and cartouches, but all of the decoration is colored. It's colored in the blues. This is sort of Asiatic inspired. These flowers are very Asiatic. Anyway, there's the foot, and there's the sign, Royal Cauldron, and this is part of a set too. Yeah, 3.5 inches high is what it stands, and there it is. And lastly, in the English bone china section, I should like to share with you another picture. Been a big day for pictures. Footed picture. This is hand-colored on brown transfer. And there's a thatched cottage there. And there's some trees. And there's the church. Yeah. A little church and some trees. And there's the trim that accents. There it is, and the inside there, beautiful. And there's the mark. Barker Brothers, Old England, Royal Tudor ware. So the Tudors were from the 1600s. Henry VIII was a Tudor. Elizabeth was a Tudor. Elizabeth I. The 1500s and the 1600s. 1497, I think, Henry VII became King of England. And then Henry VIII. And then his kid. And then Mary. And then Elizabeth. Yeah, but so they were the 5 Tudors. And this is sort of the houses, typical cottages. Thatched roofs are made with straw, yes, and there's a stone building further back. Obviously, somebody had more money, and there's the church, coloured, hand-coloured, and trimmed in gold. Beautiful. How high does this stand? It's 3 3/4 inches high. Very nice piece. Once again, a complete set, I'm sure. Okay, now we are going to look at the American Depression and elegant glass. Depression elegant glass. First off, I have to show you this magnificent piece, which is, of course, candlewick. This bowl is crimped. It's 14 inches in diameter. There's the handle there. Has a ground underside. Tiny, tiny, a little wear. I think this was some sort of center console. 1936 to 1984 were the dates for candlewick number 400. I have a feeling that this was made in the 50s when all of the accessories sort of got huge, you know. Everything seemed to be oversized. And I think that 14-inch shallow handled crimped bowl is one of those items. It's very nice, and I was surprised to see it sitting there doing nothing at the Goodwill, so I said, I'll take you home. Next, what do I have to share with you? Yes, here. Also 1936 to 1966. Number 2496, the Baroque shape from Fostoria. This is 4-footed, 6-inch square-handled bowl in yellow. Comes in other colors, as you may be aware. Fostoria called their yellow color topaz. So here it is. It's a beautiful piece, and I know that there are a number of collectors of that table service. Next we have, yes, another one of the top 5 American glass table services. Here is the 3-pot crystal. This is Cape Cod pattern from Imperial, introduced in 1932, manufactured until 1984. This pattern is called Cape Cod, and it's called Cape Cod, and Cape Cod and sandwich patterns are called those things because this pattern was inspired by the work that was happening at the Sandwich Glass Company on Cape Cod in Massachusetts 100 years before this was manufactured. They were churning out what you might refer to it as early American pattern glass. You know, this is machine manufactured. It is pattern glass, but this is elegant. Obviously, we're not talking about early. Anyway, maybe I'm just late. So, this is the 3-part relish from Cape Cod. The patterns, the bullseye and the crosses and the hobnails come right out of the sandwich glass, and they were taking their inspiration from glass that was being produced in Ireland and England. So that's Cape Cod. I'm sure you're familiar with it, and we'll be seeing much more of it as we get out over the summer. And I've at least 2 videos planned that with a definite go-ahead in the next couple of weeks. I'm having a bit of a logistics issue because of things that are going on around in my world, but it will all come out in the wash. The next item that I should like to share with you is the 2-part boat relish here. This is the American pattern, as you know. Here it is, number 2056, introduced in 1915 and manufactured until 1986. I made a short a couple of weeks ago. I found the 12-inch boat without the split in it, to show that, you know, how that they would use one shape and get 2 separate items out of it. This is 12 inches long, and this cube pattern, although it has elements of art deco in it, it's really a modernist cubist design that was initiated by Picasso and his buddy George Braque, both Spanish. So this is the boat, the modernist pattern. You see it again. It's cubed, and that's that. The next item is this, 1936 to 1944. Pattern is called Radiance by New Martinsville. And the etch on this 3-part relish is called Flower Basket, which was also referred to as number 26. You can see the etch there. Learn the difference between etching and cutting. It's really not complicated. Yeah. So this is etching, and you can see that this was done by a machine. The cutting, for the most part, is done by hand, although later machines were employed. So that is that from New Martinsville, which in 1944 became, what did it become in 19? It became, Viking. Yeah, changed, it became Viking. They made a lot of the same patterns, according to Jean Florence, that Radiance was not continued. So it ends in 44. Next thing on I found was this. And these always move. Anytime you see one of these and it's going for a good price, pick it up, because people are always looking for glass punch bowl ladles. This has a ground underside there, and this is from Duncan Miller. This one also comes in a variety of colors. Yeah, and if you are into collecting kitchenware, if you can find yourself a copy of this, it's by our friend Jean Florence. Yeah, he used to call himself Third Edition back when I knew him. But yeah, this is Jean Florence, coordinated by Margaret Whitmire. Anyway, this book came out in 1987. Look how Jean looked back in 1987. Anyway, wheel change, right? But anyway, this is a great book, and everything is in different categories. And they show you everything that's used in kitchen glass. As I said, if you get a chance to pick it up, it may not be cheap. That is, it may not be available for $5, including free shipping. But, so that's that book, and that's that punch bowl. Next, I was thrilled to find these, which I also used the kitchen book to help me identify. This is a 9¼ inch clear star handle knife. It says patent applied for and made in the USA. I'm not sure if you can sort of read that there. Oh, well, it says made in the USA up that way. I keep putting things upside down. Anyway, there are the stars, and this knife is out there. You'll find them in pink and green and blue and clear. And they had their heyday in the 40s. Towards the end of the 40s, they were starting to go out of style. So you won't find many of them around. I also picked up, right next to them, was this pair of 1940s 9¾ inches diamond crossed, flattened reserved salad tongs, the spoon and the fork. I'm not quite sure who made these, but they're typical of the era. They may be Jeanette. They look sort of Jeanette-y to me. They may be Hazel Atlas also. There's a number of possibilities. But anyway, that's they, and you will find tongs out there. And they're fun for making people pay attention at the dinner table. What else do we have? Yes. So I'm sure you are all familiar with the hobnail pattern, but as you may not be aware, almost all of the companies made a hobnail pattern. This is Duncan and Miller's hobnail pattern, number 118. This is the little shaker, which is 2 3/4. These guys are 2 3/4 inches high, tall. It has a screw top with a little glass refill shaker there, twist thing. This is part of an extensive table service you may never have heard of. 80, maybe 100 different pieces to be collected in Duncan Miller's hobnail, number 118. Okay. What are we looking at? Okay, yes. From their original retail market introduction and production run, clear crystal, iris and herringbone from the Jeanette Company. There they are. There it is, beautiful. I picked up 2 of them and I was really happy because I actually already have a picture, and now I'm going to be able to use those guys with my lemonade for the summer. Just gonna have a sip. Spruce Green Harlequin, original, 1938, 37 to 1941. The colour got the axe because nobody was buying it. Anyway, 6½ inch footed tumblers, raised relief, iris and herringbone pattern. That's an accessible pattern for newbies. it's around, and you can amass a functioning set that'll look absolutely wonderful. Al fresco outside in the evening, or inside, wherever you choose. It really blends well with any number of styles. So what else did I find? Oh yes, our old friend, number 301 teardrop pattern from our friends Duncan Miller, who were prolific. These are the 3-ounce handled oil cruets with their original stoppers. There's the stopper. There it is. There's the pontil on the bottom. Yeah, they look like they were blown to mold. Three-part blown to mold 3-ounce cruets. They stand 4.5 inches tall with their stopper. They may well have started their life as a giftware set with shakers as well on a tray. We'll see what develops, but that's another accessible pattern for a beginner to intermediate. As I said earlier, you should collect about 20 or 30 patterns, because in real terms, and unless you go somewhere that's got a condensed amount of this stuff, if you're just doing the Goodwills and the thrift stores, you don't find, it's just not, you find this and then you find that, but if you go to an antiques market, you can find a lot of stuff because it's condensed right there. They've sort of done all the picking for you, but I prefer to do my own picking. So I picked those up and they were a great price and I was thrilled. Teardrop number 301, Duncan and Miller accessible pattern. Another Duncan Miller, yeah, just to let you know how much stuff these guys were throwing out. This is Duncan Miller's number 41 pattern, and it is, they call this their sandwich pattern. Once again, because the patterns are inspired on the lacy glass that the early sandwich glass company was producing. There's the Duncan Miller sticker still on the bottom there, and you can see how the pattern in the glass resembles lace. And that's the bottom. Here's the little footed creamer and the little footed open handleless sugar bowl. There. This would have been great for 1 or 2 people, but completely impractical if you have 10 children. And there it is. We'll see a lot more sandwich, I'm sure. Okay, now glass a little bit newer. From 1959 to 1966, Federal glass. This pattern is a gold filigree pattern. These are leaves, may well be bamboo. Well, they don't come across very bamboo-y, but they're leaf sprays in gold filigree. Pattern is called Golden Glory. And it's there's about 25 pieces. It's oven glass, and it's manufactured by Federal. There's their sign on the back. I'm showing it to you upside down. Or maybe you're doing your exercise and you're watching this video on your head, and everything is up the right way for you. But these are 8-inch flat soups, and I've seen enough of that pattern out and about to know that the gold wears off if you give that any kind of scrubbing or it's had any time in a dishwasher. Those kinds of things will ruin your decorations there. So that is that. And lastly, in this section, I'd like to share with you an emerald green footed round flared bowl. I don't know anything about this. It has a 2-part mold, and the design sort of looks like it's sitting on a base, like it's two bowls together, and then there's a sort of internal ripple as it flares out. As I said, I don't know anything about this bowl. If anybody recognizes who manufactured it, it's 10¼ inches in diameter, and it stands 4 3/8 inches tall. There's another quick whip at it. Okay, and now I should like to change direction slightly and share with you some of my... I am fascinated with antique souvenir ware. I just love looking at the views, the places and the buildings. At the time that these were being manufactured and sold, everything that that is represented was in some way either politically or socially or religiously important to a certain population. These are from everywhere, as you will see, but overwhelmingly and predominantly in America, you will find American places. You will find also you'll find more on the East Coast than the West Coast, because some of the states weren't even states when these items were manufactured. So obviously the East was earlier populated and was sort of ready to receive visitors when other states perhaps weren't. So I'll shut up and we'll take a look at these. Most of them that I found here were manufactured in Germany, and you'll see there's back stamps on them. Others were made in Austria, but this type of ware was not really made in France or America until later. So all of the stuff that comes from Germany in this area comes before the beginning of the First World War, or at that point that the United States entered it, which was 1917. But not only did it stop it, it jammed it up for a few years. So that's enough of that. Let's take a look. This first item that I have is a little dish. It has a golden clock on it and a golden key. So it's also decorated with a luster pearlized glaze. It features the Customs House and Post Office, Fall River, Massachusetts. And here it is. You can see the little hand-colored black transfer ware. That's the building there. That's the Customs House and the Post Office. And there's the clock. You see the green lusterware. And there's the key. On the back there, that made in Germany. That is a classic and typical stamp that you will find on the back of these little items. Souvenir. Sou is French money, or used to be French money. And venir is the verb to come. So there's these were cheap. They cost a penny, and you remembered a sou for venir, for coming here to there and buying it. What I find fascinating 120 years later is the subject matter. You know, invariably you find towns that people have actually bought a souvenir and you wouldn't be caught dead in them. Maybe it's just me, and maybe you would be caught dead in them. But anyway, so this is the first one, and that one's from Massachusetts. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, the next two are also from Massachusetts. And they're both made in Germany by the same company, and they clearly come from the same series, as you will see immediately. This is basically clear with the luster glaze on the outside and the picture on the inside. Another popular is with cobalt blue. You'll find all around cobalt blue, and then a panel, a hand-colored black transferware panel. I don't know if you can read that, but this is the Dragon Gorge, Thompson's Scenic Railway, Revere Beach, Massachusetts. And there it is on the bottom. That's another typical made in Germany stamp. There it is. Gold trim, very well executed. The Germans are good at everything they do, if nothing else. There it is. And secondly, here is the state bathhouse. Because this was produced before everybody had their own bathroom. So going to the bathroom to scrub off a week's detritus and excess skin cells was quite the event. In fact, such an event that you could buy a souvenir of your visit. Showed the folks at home how clean you really are. Anyway, so there it is. And okay, so in fact, next I have to show you a couple of Canadian souvenirware. This is a mug. Mugs were also popular for souvenir wares. Small mugs which could just be decorative or could be used as a child's mug. You see, this has that lime green lusterware. This features the convent, St. Louis, New Brunswick, Canada, and I'm sure the crowds were hot-footing it to the convent to laugh and have a good time with the nuns. They're also made in Germany, another typical stamp there. I go too far. Anyway, so that's the convent in New Brunswick, and here we have a plate here, and this is an early piece. It's 5 3/4, and it has a raised relief, scrolls and cartouches around the outside. And if you look close, you can see a hand-colored black transfer view looking seaward, Lunenburg, Nova Scotia in Canada. And there is that beautiful plate. Okay. And lastly, in this section, should like to share with you this tumbler, which is another fairly popular form of souvenirware. This is from Sweden, and it features a hand-colored black transfer image of the Vasa Bridge, which you walked over, I guess. Maybe you're on it there. There it is. It's in Gothenburg, in Sweden. The bridge was built in 1906, and they're still walking over it today. I don't know if they're as impressed with it as they were, but there we are. So you'll find souvenir ware from all over the world, and I just love it. All of these tiny little pieces. You know, the Victorians were great decorators, and they put something in every little nook and cranny. You know, get a little overwhelming, but I have that in me. I could put, well, if you saw the floor in my warehouse, you would know what I was talking about, because a picture would paint 1,000 words. So, another of my favorite little sub-collectibles is Occupied Japan. And these are just little knickknacks that you would buy at 5 and dimes, or you might win at the local fair, the county fair, or whatever, for knocking something off a shelf, or yada, yada, yada. The nice thing about this collectible is we have a clear start and finish. These collectibles started in 1945 and they ended in 1952. This type of novelty whimsy was made before and after, but after these dates and before these dates there's no mention of the occupation, and so that puts a nice tidy frame if you are a person who likes nice tidy frames around your collectibles. So without any more from me, let me share what I have recently picked up and have scattered around my house. The first is this tiny little mother dog and her little puppy. There she is. This is only a couple of inches tall. These guys are tiny. Yeah, 2 inches tall. There's the front. The mother has brown spots and the kid has black spots. There's the reverse. There they are. Beautiful detail. And there is the signature, made in Occupied Japan. And there's the little doggy. And this may well have been in the same series. This is the mum cat and the little ginger kitten there. Both have red ears. Are they just too cute or what? You know, you don't care they tear up the furniture. Won't come when you call them. And generally do what the hell they like. There's the sign. There's the kitten. And there's the dog and the puppy together. Oh, they're just too cute. I picked these up too. I like people from around the world. These two are Sikhs. They're Indian guys. This guy here, and they're salt and pepper shakers, which is another sort of subset, the whimsy figural salt and pepper shakers. There are their signs on the bottom. This guy's not doing much. Maybe he's the conductor. Anyway, and this guy is playing the sitar. I just got a flash message from the dentist saying they've got a $10 credit in my name. What shall I have done next, huh? Anyway, they're the little salt and pepper shakers. I use these guys to decorate. They have corks. If your salt and pepper shakers, you find them without corks, and that can happen, a little disc of, some sort of adhesive over the circle, of just a little bit so that it can stick around the outside, is all you need, and they're perfectly functionable if you want to use them, or just use them decoratively like I do. So that's the Sitting Indians, and the last thing in this section is this little 5-inch Elizabethan Shakespearean boy with his golden horn there. Look at his haircut. You know, people that do that to the front of their hair, don't you? This guy's 400 years old. They didn't have decent scissors, so he has an excuse. He's got his little firkin waistcoat on and his blue pantaloons and his burgundy slippers there. He's on the obligatory stump that they have. It sort of ends there. And there it says, Occupied Japan, trimmed in gold. There he is. I like him too. He makes me laugh. These things make me laugh. That's why I have them around. And that's him. That's Shakespeare. Okay, and now I should like to share with you, I'm not sure if you are familiar with Geisha Girl porcelain. It is from Japan, obviously, and there are literally hundreds of patterns of dinnerware, table service, tea sets, coffee sets that are decorated with red transfer, hand-colored red transfer little scenes. This one is in a chrysanthemum garden, and you can see the yellow and the green, the burgundy, pink and blue chrysanthemums. There are always, I think, three geisha girls, one in a blue kimono, one in a burgundy kimono, and one in a green kimono. Burgundy trim with gold accents. There's the handle. Nothing on the underside of this one. And I also have a little mini one that was there. And this has our three geisha girls in it, only this time they're sort of at the river. Look, here's our blue geisha and our burgundy geisha and our green geisha. And then there's a river scene, and then on the other side of the river, there's like a little coloured village. The burgundy trim, no gold on this one, but there is a company mark on this. Here it is. I couldn't find that even in the book I told you to check. It just isn't in there. I'll be looking it up if I find and see any more of this. So that's Geisha Girl, and you are just gonna love the different patterns that those girls are set in. It's beautiful work, and oftentimes you'll find really nice pieces at very good prices. Okay, so the last section, is it the last section? Yes, that I have to share with you is American dinnerware. That is American dinnerware made in the 20th century in this group. We have potteries from the East Coast, New Jersey, and then the Ohio Valley area, and out on the West Coast in California. This first piece that I'm going to share with you is from Franciscan Pottery, who is out, or was out, in California. This pattern is called Autumn. This piece is a 17.5-inch bread serving plate. This pattern was manufactured in 1955 to 1966, and it too exemplifies, this pattern also exemplifies the idea of things being sort of extra big. We have windswept leaves in this pattern that's called Autumn. It also is a full service dinnerware set that you can collect with care and diligence. That's the end. Okay, the next item that I should like to share with you is this pair of 1955 Homer Laughlin Blue Willow transferware. These are 8 1/8 inch flat soups. There they are. They are back stamped there with a typical Homer Laughlin back stamp. Homer Laughlin made, blue willow, pink willow, green willow, and mulberry willow. They're all extensive services and are just out there waiting to be collected. As you may be aware, almost every company made a blue willow pattern. It was popular. It remains popular. If you find pieces in good condition, no chips and no dings and yada, 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 there's always another home for them. There's always somebody looking for them. So that's the blue willow. Next, I should like to share with you this Southern Potteries bowl. Southern Potteries began life in 1917 in Irwin, Tennessee. In the early 1930s, they started piecework with people who lived in the hills outside Irwin, and they would drop off the blanks and all the paintwork and everything that was needed and give the lady or whoever show you what the pattern is, and they would pick them up next week and drop you off new new pieces. You may be doing the same pattern, or you may be doing a completely new pattern. This pattern is called Carnival. It was popular. This is a 9 1/4 inch round serving bowl. The flowers are red, blue, and yellow. This is a fairly large pattern. And you can see this shape is also called candlewick in the same way that this is candlewick. In fact, both are inspired by the same needlecraft stitch that it inspired both of them. So, you may remember the Southern Potteries 5-part leaf-shaped relish dish server. Yeah, that flew off the shelf, absolutely flew. So, Southern Potteries, hand-painted dinnerware, we will see more of it. And now, lastly, a little bit more from Homer Laughlin, 1947, eggshell nautilus. I found 2 sets, 4 of these little 5 1/4 inch dishes and 4 6 1/4 inch plates. They both come from the same larger set. It didn't all survive, obviously, and maybe somebody got there before me and whipped off the sugar and the creamer and the covered vegetable and the bigger plates and the platter and just left this. I took it because I like it. Platinum rings, kind of deco-y style, extensive table service, part of the eggshell line. Here's the back stamp there, and Homer Laughlin made 6 or 7 different patterns in eggshell china. The eggshell china was thinner and lighter and more delicate, and there are a number of lines. This one is called Nautilus. I may have already shared eggshell Georgian with you, but if not, we will be seeing more of it, I can assure you. We now have come to the end of today's show. It was, as I said, a huge haul and covers 3 or 4 visits. I'm going to be out and about, and I'm going to be looking to see you, and if you see me out there, say hi. I don't bite. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.